Oh, many phones will be going on a typical weapon. Does that mean that you are going to be a video?
I got it all. Whatever it was.
Cut that shit. Yeah, that was months ago, right? Yeah, that was months ago. When you got promoted. Oh, yeah. That was a while ago.
Don't use the Windex, use plastic Windex.
My name is Isabel.
Like a drink. Right down the road, that was my guys. Drone plane, right here, 3 hours. How are you, sir? Thank you, boss. We're ready.
And then, right, and that's, you know, you don't want to be a bad person, but you need to do everything in your
Getting LCs.
I think it's ironic that you're
I'm waiting for that.
With my S400. I'm surprised you don't have it plugged in. How are you doing?
Hi, Tracy. Good to see you again. Welcome back. You too. So how's life?
Is that all right? Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Good call. This way?
Some guys running no managers there. Got two senior sales this time. Serve yourself. Galaxy system.
Yeah, don't do that. He's not worthy of saying hello to him.
is the Ray. The Ray.
Very well, how are you?
Dylan made both of them.
How are you, man? Dave, how you doing?
I do all most of the boats.
What's up, sir? Hello. On the road, sir?
How are you, sir?
Good.
He came in with no shirt. He knew he was going to t-shirt.
Right.
Okay. Oh, that's great. I was kind of worried about you because I felt like there was nobody. Everybody was leaving.
That's great. That's really good.
Sorry, I'm trying to steal the camera chair.
You got to be
How you doing, everyone? Yeah. California, it's great. The weather's beautiful. We're having a good time so far. And I'm going to get some food. Things are looking up. Once I get started, I can't stop. I look terrible. I just got off the plane. It's makeup.
You ready for your closing?
Barbecue, take two.
That's an evil character.
Get used to it.
And you're sitting next to Michael Hand. How are you?
Like you can't read your face? You're still the same face again. Never changed.
Give me the ponytail.
Hey,
You never done those tapes. You have no idea. When I did the top 10 series ago, I was
I can remember a good poker player. Green peas all night long. Daddy's
Hi, Bill. How you doing?
Okay, focus on her. Don't
she wrecked the shot.
Try the whole shot. Okay, take two. Can we do take two on this one? Okay, wait. Do the whole take two.
food, anyone?
Memory.
Oh, yes.
We're going to sing.
And
You know, you can use their Now this one right here is Apollo. And Apollo is like sort of the artistic. I like to call it sort of looking at the whole picture in a very artistic way. Okay. Now yours right here looks pretty good. Looks very strong. But what you want to do is you need to spice up a little bit, add a little color, a little distinction, something that's a little bit more yours. Let's go. Okay. Now this one here is she's fine. She's really very strong, not excessive. It looks like you balance your line very well. You're not all this, which is good. And this one here is wealth, and this one looks very, very full. Because wealth can mean not only money, but it means that the friendships that you have, very truthful, very honest, very fulfilling. It means you're satisfied with your stuff, you know, your houses, your cars. But the other view of all right. Well, I think yeah, nice to see you again. Congratulations.
I gotta follow the king over here.
you know, I wouldn't be a jerk about that.
Oh, you're on the camera. Watch what you take.
Because I see what you're saying.
Well, would you sit down, please? It's my meeting. Good morning, guys. Last night was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It was a great way to meet all of you, and I hope that our psychic kind of told us that we were going to have a great future together. What I wanted to do this morning, just as we start, was just really take the opportunity and take your time and tell you a little bit more about me and what I'm all about. So I'm sure there's a sort of a burning question out there. So who am I, first of all, other than what you know? I've been in the retail business for 22 years, started when I was 8. And I started as a part-time sales associate in a clothing store. When I was about 15 and a half, there was this little sole proprietorship, and I'm not going to take you through my entire resume. There was this clothing store that I just was really fascinated with, and I told this lady that owned it, I was like, I have to work in the store, and I can't work until I'm 16, but I really have to work in the store. So for 6 months until my 16th birthday, I annoyed her to the point that she was like, okay, you can work in the store. So I started as a part-time sales associate and then just kind of went through the normal food chain, and here I am with you. I was at Guest before this, and I got a call one day, and it was a recruiter I'd worked with really for about 9 years, and she's like, I've got something that might interest you, and I'm like, yeah. She's like, SHRP Image, and I'm like, wow, that must be a really cool place to work. So I said, okay, let's talk, and I was also motivated with the fact that I lived in San Francisco, and I had offices in LA and New York, and I thought, you know, cool place to work, improve my personal life, pretty good combination. So had a couple conversations with Barry Gilbert, and I was all of a sudden in a position that I didn't feel like I was being recruited. I felt like I was applying for a job. You know, 'cause I was like, I really want to go there. Visited a few stores, thought there's an amazing opportunity here. There's room for growth. There's an amazingly strong brand. There seems to be a lot of strength out there. There's certainly a lot of tenure out there, which automatically means there's a lot of great knowledge out there. And I was just even more excited. I was to the point I was like, you know, I really hope he makes an offer. And that happened, and here I am. Now that I'm here, what do I want to do? Well, I want to work with all of you to take what is a strong brand and make it bigger and make it stronger, kind of update it a little bit, kind of make it, you know, have that, our new store design is a perfect example, and just make it more successful. And I really believe that this group is the key to that success. And I think that together, we can really do it. I mean, what a feeling coming to a meeting with an 11% comp store increase. That's amazing. I mean, I think that you should all be very proud of that. That's a lot of hard work, all the way from Shannon and Bob's group to the field. It's just a combination of great effort and talent. So be proud of yourselves. Actually, you should probably just go ahead and give yourselves a round of applause, because 11% is amazing. It feels a lot different coming into a meeting with an 11% comp store increase than the other way. and I've been in both situations, and it feels good today to start this meeting with an 11% comp store increase. Before we really get started in the meeting, I wanted to take a few moments to, since I met most of you last night, some of you more than once, but didn't meet all of you. What I'd like to do is, I'd like to start here with Jan and just go across the room and have everybody just stand up, give their name, their location, and how long they've been with the company. Okay? Thanks.
I'm Jan Godwin. I work at the Troy store, 231 in Troy, Michigan, and I've been with the company for 11 years.
Fred Nunez, Houston Park Shops, and I've been with the company 10 months.
Alan Hutchison, Phoenix, 12 years.
Wayne Wagner, District Manager, San Francisco Northwest, and first and second times combined 12 years.
Dan Doyle, Fort Lauderdale, I think 11 or 12 years.
My name is Henry Woodard from Atlanta. I've been with the company for 8 years.
Tim Rooney, I'm from Hackensack, New Jersey, store 267. I've been with the company for 2 years.
Bob Constantine, the Ardmore store, store 249, 11 years.
Robert Segrist, Miami Bayside. I've been with the company 5.5 years.
Richard Youngman, Houston Galleria, 12 years.
Ed Perez, Davis Street. Like Ralph, I started in retail when I was 8, and I've been with SHRP for 12 years.
Gary Jellison. Gary Jellison, Regional of the West Region, 13 years.
Alicia Gratt, Chicago Water Tower, 12 years.
I'm Jeffrey Austin, Pittsburgh store, about 11 years.
Sam Gianos, Beverly Hills, 8.5 years.
Anderson Flay, Chicago Monroe, 3 years.
Maria Kachi, White Plains, New York, 1 year and 6 months.
Sean Daly, Germantown, almost 2 years.
Fred King, 219 Seaport, 4 years.
Mary Larson, District Manager, Northern California West, 4 years.
James Babko, Novi, Michigan, store 231, 10.5 years.
Mike Peterson, Palm Beach, about 1.5 years.
Mark Steiner, St. Louis, 4 years.
Dale Shepard, District Manager, Southern California, 12.5 years.
Lynn Perez Valle, Orlando. I've been with the company 11 years.
Kurt Rashdorf, Burlington, Mass, and it's been a whole 3 months.
Greg Johnson, I'm in the Reno store, 2 years.
Bob Reinhardt, 251 Bethesda, 3 years.
Scott Norris, 214, about 3 years.
Joel Eisler, New York 2, 10 years.
Ann Hetherington, Tampa, Florida, 7 years.
Ken Hickey, McLean, Virginia, 12 years.
Kevin Wiley, Dallas, 3 years.
Scott Pate, 244 Schaumburg, 11 years.
Dane Price, Oklahoma City, 10 years.
Terry DeBaker, Denver, 12 years.
Damon Coughlin, Glendale, 5 years.
Craig Trebo, the East Coast Regional Manager, 11 years.
Michael Jameson, store number 270, Ghirardelli, 3 years.
Fatana Kier, Milpitas, 2 years.
Brian Pack, South District Manager, 14 years.
Paul Narciso, Garden City, New York, 3 years.
Keith Raymond, Miami-Dade Land, 12 years.
Don Harker, Boston, 3 years.
Bob Milner, Kansas City, 10 years.
Tim Kevaney, Redondo Beach, 4 years.
Bill Braun, Ardmore, 3 years.
Rodney Payne, Northeast District Manager, about 7 years.
John Casey, store 301 Aspen, about 2.5 months.
Mark Heap, Old Orchard, 1.5 years.
Len Baylor, 309 Paramus, 3 years.
David Chebro, Sawgrass, about 6 years.
Leslie Bodie, New Orleans, 4 years.
Peter Martin, Newport Beach, 5 years.
Ken West, store 263 Boca, 10 years.
Ray Parada, Short Hills, 10 years, 17 days, and who's counting?
Robert Whiting, Corte Madera, 5 years.
Burt Mothershed, Dallas, 12 years.
Lauren Cope from the Columbus store, 3 years.
Mike Nash, district manager, Mid-Atlantic, about 10 years.
Paul Tolman, Edina, Minnesota. That's where we are, not Illinois. And been with the company for about 7 years.
I'm Nicole Ray. I'm in store 275 in Sacramento, and I've been with the company a year and a half.
Stu Krishka, Avatura, Florida, 11 years.
Margaret Ann Harley, Madison Avenue, 11 years.
Hi, Steve Baronic, 282 San Diego, 11 years.
Tony Perez, Sal, 6.5 years.
Don Bacall from Hartford, Connecticut, 2 weeks.
Steve Kirshner, Honolulu, Hawaii, 13 years.
Jill Woods, Bridgewater, 3.5 years.
Paul Shands, Georgetown store in Washington, D.C., 10 years.
Michael Barkley, 247 Santa Ana, 13 years.
Hi, Dave Contreras, store 227 Cleveland, about a month and 2 weeks.
Good morning. I'm Corinne Valenzuela from the Maui store 300. I've been with the company 2 years.
Steve Rundgren, Florida district manager, 13 years now.
Sherman Stone, Austin. I thought it was 12. Steve says 13. I don't know. 12, 13? We started the same day, so I'll go with 13.
Ray Brown, Sutter Street, about 11 years.
Kirsten Saran, Portland, 9 months.
Franz Raoula from the Swiss licensee. We own the licensee since over 15 years. I'm with the company since 9 years.
Jim Margolis from Chestnut Hill, 3 weeks.
Chris Johnston, Northbrook, 9 years.
Greg Miller from Cincinnati, Ohio, 5 years.
Hello, Cindy Reyes. That's Cindy with an S, please. I'm Palo Alto, 3 years.
Eric Stagg, Raleigh store, 2 weeks. Bob Thompson, home office, 8 months.
Shannon King, Senior VP of Merchandising, 14 years.
I think that deserves a round of applause.
Bill Farrow, corporate office, 10 months.
I'm Suzanne Nelson, merchandise distributor, 1 year, 2 months.
Trisha Alec, Merchandise Planner, 9 months.
Teresa Robertson, Merchandise Planner, 2 years.
Tony Farrell, Senior VP Creative Services, 3 months.
Hi, I'm Mary Tanner, Human Resources, 11 years.
Roger Bensinger, Business Development, 8 years.
Adam Poirier with the Corporate Marketing Department, 10 years.
Andrew Cushing, Business Development, 5 years.
Sylvia Brochet, Merchandise Planner, a little over 1 year.
Melinda Cheechman, Distributor for 1 week.
Linda Rose, I'm the buyer for housewares and personal care, 1 year.
Good morning. Dulce Moreno, buyer, 3 years.
Joe Collins, merchandising, 10 months.
Michael Andre, district manager, Great Lakes, 5 years.
Bob Busby, San Antonio, 12 years.
Tanya Hay, Palm Springs, on and off about 9 years now.
Sarah Helton, Palm Springs, 7 months.
Davia Kimmy, Marketing, 1 year.
Tracy Warren, CFO, 10 years.
I'm Eric Bauer, store 260, Indianapolis, 7 years.
Terrence Hyde, Stamford, Connecticut, 3.5 years.
Ken Wetzel with the Corporate Marketing Division, 1 year, 3 months.
Federico de Bellegarde, Business Development, 7.5 years.
Ken St. John, Corporate Marketing in the Midwest region, 10 years.
Lily Mitsui, Corporate Marketing in the North Central region, 11 years.
Hi, I'm Joy Clark. I've been with the company for 13 years, 9 of those in the store and 4 years up in the corporate office.
Hi, Betty Winkle in corporate marketing in the southeastern region, 11 years.
I'm David Stotts. I'm in visual merchandising, and I've been with the company 10 months.
Tori Moore, corporate marketing, Western region, been with the company 4.5 years.
Tanya Maxwell, corporate marketing, 4 years.
Barry Jacobson, the distribution center, 13 fun years.
Joe Williams, loss prevention since the beginning of time.
Well, there's obviously a lot of experience in this room, which generally breeds knowledge. And, you know, as I am 10 or 11 weeks, or I don't know, maybe more. I've kind of lost track. So I'm really going to depend on you guys to help me be smarter with the sharper image and really foster a great growth together, because we're going to take this thing to great heights, and we're going to be part of some new beginnings together, and I'm really looking forward to it. So we need to get on to the road ahead, and with that in mind, I'd like to introduce our Vice Chairman, Barry Gilbert, who'd like to share a few words with you.
Barry Gilbert, 2 years. It seems like we were just here just a little while ago, and it's great to see all these faces and all these people. 13 years, 14 years. I was thinking maybe we should start putting in some orders for walkers, because I could just see Gary Jellison, 35 years. Get canes. We should order them now, because we're going to need them, because all you guys are going to be here.
Remote controlled walkers, since it's the sharper image.
That's right. Right. Remote control walkers. It's amazing, and I'm sure some of the people that are brand new are just thinking, wow, look at all the experience here. Look at the people that have been here for so long. It's quite unusual for a retail company to have all that knowledge and all that experience, and I think it's a big asset for this company to have it, and I think it's just great. I wanted to thank, I thought last night was really a lot of fun. It was great. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It wasn't too late. I wanted to thank Ralph and Sherry and Alexia for putting it on, and Ralph's sister, Isabella, the fortune teller. So thank you. That was a lot of fun. I think it's a good way to get a chance to see everyone and say hello. The purpose of our meeting is really to share a lot of information with you about what's going forward, but more importantly, for you guys to share a lot of information with us. We don't have as much time as we'd like to really spend in the stores. I'm sure a lot of you say, well, why do you guys never get out of your offices? You know, you're playing bridge and you're playing chess and checkers and stuff. Like, how come you never come and visit us? We would love to visit you. I guess every merchant who's in this room today wishes they could spend more time in the stores. There's a lot of stuff to do, just like there's a lot of stuff for you guys to do. And this is a great opportunity for us to, not for us to go to the stores, but for the stores to come to us, and for you guys to tell us the things that are on your mind and how we can help make things better. I cannot tell you how important it is for you guys to be candid with us about what's going on, what your needs are, how we can make the business better. I hope if I'm walking around with my fly open that someone's going to say, Barry, we got a problem here, right? You do that for me, right? Well, it's the same thing with our business. If there's something wrong, if you guys don't tell us, who's going to tell us? And I think that's really, that's what I'm asking you from this meeting today, is if there's stuff that you think we need to fix, tell us. Because if you don't tell us, we're never going to know. And we'll all walk around in a fantasy world thinking everything's perfect. It's not perfect. And if you help us, we can help you. If you don't tell us, we can't fix it. Okay? So next couple of days, I'm asking for your candor. There's no one's taking names and writing down and said, oh, Bob said this, Tim said that. All we want to do is hear what's going on. And I think all of you will benefit because some of the things that you think are big problems, you may find are not as big a problem. We have this all the time where someone will say, you know, it leaks in my store. You know, it's a big problem. We've got to fix all the leaks in all the stores. Everybody says, I don't have a leak. Maybe it was just a localized problem. So for us, I think all of us, it really helps to hear what problems are in other stores, and it kind of puts it in perspective. Okay, can I have your agreement on that? Okay. Just a little state of the state of the union. We finished up the first half of the year. I think we did okay. Did everyone see the quarterly video? Okay. Anyone who didn't? Anyone who's new, who hasn't seen the quarterly forum? A couple of hands. We ended up this first half on plan. We met our profit plan. We met our earnings per share plan, and I think that's a good accomplishment. We like meeting our plan, and we're going into the second half of the year with some great product that's coming in. We have just landed some great product. We are on a roll. We get some really exciting things going on. We have people rapidly at work building ionic breezes, and I think later today and over the next day or so, you're going to hear about all the great things that are coming our way. But I wanted to just give you some perspective, because you know we always want to do better, and we always, I think, flog ourselves more than maybe we need to sometimes. But Wall Street Journal, it was a couple of weeks ago, you know, retail results. And where's Tracy? Tracy, where are we year to date in com store sales? Would you say? 4%. About 4%. Okay. Well, let me give you some other comparisons. We're 4% up on a com store basis. Company called Federated Department Stores, they year to date have done $8.1 billion. So Federated comprises most every, you know, a department store in almost every city in the country. They're 2.1% up year to date com stores. So we're beating them pretty good. J.C. Penney, they have 1,100 units. So no matter what you say, Penney's is a retailer and a good measure of retail business in Middle America. Year to date, they're down 0.6. We're up 4%. May Department Stores, year to date, they've done $6.4 billion. I think that's a pretty good measure of retail business across the country. They're up 3.6%. We're beating their ass, right? Neiman Marcus, top end. Okay, so how about them? Neiman Marcus, year to date, down 1.7. We're making them look pretty foolish. Dillard's, we don't want to say anything bad about Dillard's. They're a customer, but Dillard's up 3%. Sears has done $16.7 billion year to date. Okay, nice piece of change. And the reason I bring it out, you know, we don't think that we're a Sears competitor, but it gives you an indication of retail business. They do so much business with America, it gives you an indication of how retail business is across the country. They're up 2.8% year to date. I think we're doing okay. We could do better. I hope we take that 4% and make it 6% or 7%. But I want you guys to know that across America, retail business on a comp store basis is, 2-3%. There's some people are in the minus. We're up 4%. So I think you got to feel good about that, and we're going to make it better. So if there's anything that's the road ahead says is that the road behind us is we're doing okay. We're on track, and we're going to make it better. Okay? So I thank you for that 4%. You guys have a lot to do with it. And I hope today we'll fix a lot more things and make that 4%, 6%, or 8%, or 10%. Okay? Okay. Now,
here I am. Now we're going to spend a little time. We ask you, go ahead.
Now I think what we're going to do is introduce.
No. That's a good idea.
We're going to call an audible here and introduce the guy who made it all happen. Founder and Chairman, Richard Thalheimer.
Good morning. Well, I have some important observations to make today. The first one will catch some of you by surprise. Some of you who have been here a while, it may surprise you less than others. Some of you who are new will be shocked to hear me say, I don't have the answers. Now, some of you right now are probably thinking to yourself, I knew that all along. You should nudge the guy next to you going, told you so. You know? But I do have a lot of observations, having been here since I drove across the Oakland Bay Bridge on the way here in January of 1971. And since our first mailer ad appeared in 1977, 21 years ago. And I want to share some of those observations with you because, you watch things long enough and you begin to see a pattern of trends and you learn from the past a little bit. One thing I observed just yesterday was I ran into my neighbor who used to work for American Express, very smart woman, and she's changed jobs recently. So she went to a seminar with Young and Rubicam, the advertising agency. They put up a program on brand leadership. And the start of the program was 30 brands that were the most recognized for outstanding something, quality, name recognition, whatever. She said the SHRP image was one of the 30. I was shocked. I mean, gee, Coca-Cola and Sony maybe, SHRP image. So that's a terrific accomplishment. We're one of the 30 best known brands in America. It's great. So I've certainly noticed that over all these years we've had a lot of brand leadership. That's a long-term observation. Another long-term observation is this year is our highest sales in our company's history, highest revenue. That's an interesting observation. After 22 years of doing this, this is our best year ever as far as total dollars taken in. It's also the year that we're selling more products that are exclusive or that we make ourselves than any other year in our history. It's also the year we've had the most management changes in our history. For some people, this is unsettling. For others, perhaps not. For those of you who are new, you may think it's great. For those of you who've been here a long time, you may or may not think it's great. But let me share my thought on that subject, which is, it's a lot like a baseball team. And you want to have the best team you can. And so players come and players are let go, players are traded, players' contracts are not renewed or they are. It's nothing personal. It's just a business. And we're trying to have the best team we can. So the general manager and the ownership of the team, they make their best decisions every year. And they want to have the best team possible. They want to win, right? It's not that somebody isn't great. It's not that you don't like them. You may think they're the best person you know. But in the end, you got to shuffle your team around and you make your decisions. Am I happy with the team we have right now? Yeah, I want to tell you as sincerely and earnestly as I can, I'm real happy with the changes we're making. Why? Because the combination of fresh points of view And the opportunity to make a change gives us the opportunity to do better. I mean, if we were winning the World Series every single year, we could say we don't need to make a change. But we haven't won the World Series every single year. In fact, we've had some good years, we've had some bad years. Some years are better than others. Last year, we had a decent year compared to the year before. And this year is going to be better than last year. The earnings are going to be substantially higher. The revenues are going to be higher. So I'm really pleased that we're moving in a direction that's very positive. This is also an interesting year in that I've seen some of the top items perform differently than in the past. You know what happened in June was an amazing thing happened. We introduced the personal cooling system in June, and that product became the #1 item. And we sold 50,000 pieces in June, July, and August of that one item. And it performed pretty well. Customers generally were pretty happy with it. The return rate was acceptable. Nice looking product, well priced. 50,000 pieces at $50 each is what, $2.5 million? We've never sold $2.5 million of anything in June, July, and August. And then August came along and we introduced the Steam Wizard. And it became the #2 item in our company, both in revenues and profit, right behind the personal cooling system. Then September came along and we introduced the Ionic Breeze. And it became the #1 item in revenues and profits. Well, this has never happened, that we've introduced 3 products that we control, that we have the exclusive on, that we made ourselves or negotiated the exclusive for the US, and they became the #1, 2, and 3 items. And by a huge margin. You know, last week alone, we sold roughly $200,000, almost $250,000 worth of Ionic Breezes, and $100,000 worth of Steam Wizards last week. That's a huge accomplishment because it says a couple things to me. Forgive me for looking at my scribbles here. I should have copied this over before the meeting. For one thing, it says we're making a more profitable business because the margins are better on the products that we make ourselves. It means it's a little bit easier to run our business. There's less training required to sell an ultrasound soother that stays in our business for 2 years than there is to sell some technological thing that's here today and gone in a month. And then the next month you got to learn a new product. And the next month you got to learn a new product. And you know how hard that is because you hire somebody new to work for you in your store and they don't know how the thing works. But when you're selling the same product for 12 months, you know exactly how it works. Why? Because you've been selling the same thing for 12 months. It's easy. The training's simple. Not because the product's necessarily more simple, but because you don't have to keep learning it over every month. It stays around for a while. Our cost of overhead is less because there's less production in the art department, there's less materials to distribute, there's less signs to make. It's a much healthier business to have products that stick around for a year. And we can only do that with products that we make ourselves. Some people have asked, well, what does this mean? I mean, what about the Sony products and the Panasonic products that make us a lot of money? And I thought about them today as I drove here, as I stopped at my favorite gas station to get fill up and a cup of coffee. Right by the front of that station, they've got like all these Coca-Cola 6-packs stacked up. And they sell them for $1.99 a 6-pack. I don't know, is that a good price or a bad price? It's a good price, huh? They probably don't make any money on the Coca-Cola, but I'm not a Coca-Cola drinker, so I go inside and I buy the coffee. Well, it's hard to believe this, but they have 14 urns of coffee set up. 14, I counted them today. All different flavors, you know, decaf calf, Swiss mocha, and Italian this, and vanilla, and hazelnut, and you name 14 different flavors. And then they have like all these little things you could put in them, like little shots of fake creme de menthe or something that you should. They have all those. Then they have 10 different varieties of tea. So I'm watching this guy filling up these coffee urns, and I'm thinking to myself, he is probably saying to himself, you know, it's a lot easier just to stack the Coca-Cola out there than to keep filling and making these stupid 14 pots of coffee. But they're probably making a lot of money off the coffee because the coffee probably costs them a dime and they're selling it to me for $1, and the Coke probably costs them $1.79, they're selling it for $1.99. So it's pretty clear to me what's going on there. They're using the Coke to sort of get you in, but they're really trying to make the money on the stuff that's a little more trouble. And quite frankly, it's the same in our business. The products that we make ourselves or that we negotiate the exclusives on or that we create the private labels or we bring in or we package, they're a lot more trouble. They are. But yet that's how we make money in this company. My favorite models when I think about this are like the Gap, Tiffany, Chanel, Neiman Marcus, and they fall into two categories. If you go into Tiffany, they sell Tiffany brand, and they sell also a little bit of like Piaget or Rolex, right? Name brands. And if you go into the Gap nowadays, no matter how great Levi's jeans are, you will not find a pair of Levi's jeans in the Gap. They only sell Gap brand, right? If you go in Chanel, it's all Chanel. If you go in Neiman Marcus, on the other hand, they have Neiman Marcus brand neckties, but they also have Peruti or whatever, right? So I'm not sure which model we will be in 10 years, whether we'll be all Sharper Image or whether we'll be a mix of, like Tiffany, Sharper Image brand, and Sony, and JVC video cameras. My suspicion is we'll always be a little bit of the JVC video cameras and the Sony stereo. But we shouldn't underestimate the power of creating our own brand over time. The Gap never really was really successful until they created the Gap brand and made it what people wanted to buy. Now that brings up some questions. What about the quality? Can we satisfy ourselves that the quality is good enough? I mean, Sony makes great quality products. Hey, I'm not going to argue about that point. But on the other hand, how many companies have introduced products that at some point had a problem? I mean, I don't think Microsoft ever introduced a program that needed a fix, or did they? I don't think, or was it Dell that introduced all those laptops that had the fires or blew up or something? Or how about the new Beetle? To me, one of the greatest marketing successes of all times, the new Volkswagen Beetle. Though it did have a recall after it was first introduced. Come to think of it, so did Lexus. When they first introduced Lexus, that was a big deal because they had a recall when they first introduced the Lexus. And the Lexus was known as the car that was so perfect, the relentless pursuit of excellence. And what happened in the Lexus story was they got tremendous accolades in the press for the way they fixed the problem. And I thought about that. I thought, you know, it's so obvious that a company can make mistakes, but the way you handle the mistake is how you're really judged as a company. The way you fix the problem, the way you handle the problem. So perhaps President Clinton should have thought about that. If we will conscientiously identify our mistakes, address our mistakes, give a prompt fix to the customer, we will come out a lot better than if we ignore problems. To do that, of course, we need to do just what Barry encouraged you to do, which is you've got to aggressively give us feedback, whether it's especially in the Monday conference calls, and you've got to aggressively talk to your district managers, your regional managers, the merchandising department, send me an email. I mean, one of the sad stories for me personally was that whole thing with the ionic hair wand didn't take us very long, in my opinion, to fix it, but it took us a long time to decide we had a problem. It took us probably a month before we realized we had a problem. Remember that, what was it called, Peter, Paul and Mary, that song about where has all the glamour gone? What was that, how'd that tune go? Where has all the glamour? Or something like that. Oh, flowers. Okay, but a lot of people keep asking, well, what about the glamour of the products we're selling nowadays? Like, if we don't have like a 7-foot Darth Vader, are we going to have glamour in our stores? Well, a couple thoughts on that. One is that I really, truly believe that whether we like it or not, we will at some point encounter another recession. I don't know if it's going to happen next year or the year after, but there will be a recession. Sort of like 1990, maybe not as bad, maybe worse, I don't know. But when that happens, unlike '89, when we were not prepared to deal with it, this time I would like to be prepared to deal with it. And I think we have a couple of advantages we didn't have back then. We did not have really useful, functional products that people really needed to keep buying. Because I got to tell you, when people have bad allergies, they're going to buy an Ionic Breeze, whether we're in a recession or we're not. They may postpone their Darth Vader purchase, however. I went to a meeting the other day with 3 sort of stock managers, investors, and I took some of the products along with me. And I sort of thought I might give them like maybe a little sample product or something. And so I put in my trunk like a couple deep pocket wallets and a couple Travel Companion Pluses, and then I put in one Steam Wizard. And the meeting was okay. They seemed to appreciate what we're doing. But on the other hand, for whatever reason, I sort of thought, oh, well, forget it. You know, the time wasn't right. I don't want to look like I'm sort of giving them a gift or anything that maybe is inappropriate, so I'll just forget it. So we went back at the end of the meeting to my car, and I opened my trunk to get something out, one of their jackets or something, because I had picked them up at the airport. And in the trunk was a Steam Wizard box. Well, one of the guys, like his eyes like light up. He goes, "Is that the Steam Wizard?" And I go, "Yeah." So I pull it out and I show it to him. He is like literally just like salivating. He wants to own this Steam Wizard so much. I couldn't believe it because I haven't seen that response on a lot of our products in a long time. Give you one more example. I'm walking to the soccer practice the other day, and this guy who's a coach, who's like really well-to-do. I mean, he's super stock fund, investment, real estate, whatever he does, I don't know. Got a brand new Lincoln Navigator in metallic red, one of the, in my opinion, ugliest cars on the market, but appeals to him evidently. So he's asking me about the Ionic Breeze, and I'm thinking, you know, people have not really talked to me a lot spontaneously about what we're selling or doing as much as they have in the last year. And what's driven it has been products that are really unusual and have some functional aspect, whether it's the personal cooling system. And again, I'm just repeating the same examples because they're so good, the Steam Wizard or the Ionic Breeze. Hey, by the way, you know when you got these binders here? Let's find that page that has the most important products for Christmas. That's right after the Thursday tab. See, this is Thursday, and then go about 2 pages. It says top 100 volume products for December. And take your pen and go down to about like number 4 or 3 or somewhere in there and just write Ionic Breeze. That product is going to be an important product at Christmas. Perhaps some of the other products will be also that we're introducing that are not on this list, but when we did this list, we used what information we had, and quite frankly, I don't think any of us thought the Ionic Breeze would be as successful as it is. The good news is it's going to sell like crazy. The bad news is we're not going to have enough of them because we didn't have any idea how many to make. So what we are unfortunately going to do, not so much because of any other reason than that we've had some cost increases passed along to us, is we are going to raise the price with the October 5th catalog to $229. And I apologize, but I think the best way to explain that to our customers is to say that we introduced the product at $199. That was introductory price. We want to get a lot of them out there. Realistically, we've had some component increases. Unfortunately, the price is going to $229. And it's a great product. Why is it a great product? Because it's silent. It's the only product on the market that moves air silently, and it has no filters to replace. You buy a Honeywell EnviroCare, you got $100 worth of filters to replace every year. Now, some people will say, well, sometimes it hums. We've been studying the humming the last week, and it's real important to recognize this simple fact. Once in a great while, some unit will be out of tolerance and will hum no matter how clean it is. If that's true, we should exchange the unit. Most of them hum because the collection rods have gotten dirty. We thought a week ago when we mistakenly communicated to you that it's because the wire is dirty, and we encourage people to buy a feather duster and clean that wire inside. I don't think it makes any difference. I think the latest information we have from our engineers is that the wire is getting dirty, but it has nothing to do with the humming. What's causing the humming is when those metal collection rods are dirty. So if you want to think of it in a positive form, think of it as when that thing starts humming at you, it's time to clean the rods. And if you've got a real clean environment with air conditioning or a filter, you may not clean them but every 2 weeks or every month or every 6 weeks. If you've got a sort of dirty environment where the window's open, there's traffic going by and there's smog coming in, or pollen or dust, you may have to clean it every 3 or 4 days. Our job long term is to learn how to make a product that can accumulate a lot more dust before it needs cleaning, but we haven't figured that out yet. At the moment, we have the only product in the world that will move air with no fan. Other products have ionizers in them, but they don't move air unless they have a fan. And if you have a fan, you got this problem. You're using up a lot of energy, you're creating noise. So that price is going to go up to $229. We're going to sell it. Now go down to line number 28 on that list. Stylus, and then change the S to an E. Okay? All right. You know, one of my favorite things in life is the observation that if you don't make a lot of mistakes, you don't succeed. You've heard me mention this like practically every year we've gotten together. I'm a great believer. You have to try a lot of things. And they say in baseball, like if you never make an error, you're not trying very hard to get those balls that are probably going to get past you. You just wait till the ball comes to you. You'll never make an error. You will never make a great play. It's true. It's the same way with our products. If we wait until every single product is perfect and we never have a problem with any product, we will not be introducing products very quickly and we will not be ahead of the market. So it's a tightrope. We have to balance those two things. On one hand, we want to introduce products quickly and ahead of the market and have exciting new technology. On the other hand, we don't want to make mistakes or errors if we can help it. And we don't want to introduce products that disappoint people. And we don't want to embarrass ourselves. Do I believe it's important to introduce products that are just as well made as Sony and Panasonic and Motorola? Absolutely. Have we taken steps to try and do that this year? I think so. We're now paying an outside firm to inspect all the products that are made in our factories in the Far East before they're shipped to us to improve the quality control, and I think that's helping. We're slowing down sometimes the introduction of products. It may surprise you to learn that both the personal cooling system and the ionic breeze were supposed to be introduced a year before. We were a year late, partly because we weren't satisfied with the quality at the time and didn't want to take a chance of introducing something that wasn't going to satisfy our customers. In spite of the criticism that I occasionally get on this subject, I will point out proudly, we've had a relatively glitch-free introduction on a lot of products the past year. A few disappointed us, a lot came through without a problem. Okay, a couple other observations. I think our pace is picking up. You know, we started off like a house on fire in 1982. There was a recession in this country in 1982. We didn't even notice it. Our sales were growing like 50% a year and our earnings were excellent. I sometimes think of this guy, Walt Stack, who was the subject of our first advertisement. He was a runner. He started running when he was like in his late 50s. By the time he was 72, he was running marathons, and he ran the Western States 100, which is like 100 miles through the woods of the Sierra Nevada mountains. Imagine being dropped in your running shorts in the Sierra Nevada mountains and being told the finish line is 100 miles that away through the woods, get going, and you're 72 years old. But he had a strategy, and his strategy was start slowly and increase your pace throughout the event so that you finish actually the last quarter going faster than the first quarter. Most people do it the other way. They start off real fast, they get tired, pooped, they fall out, they drop out, they don't finish the race, or they stagger across the finish line. Our company, in some ways, is sort of like that. You know, when we started, I was in my early 20s, and don't think I knew enough and had never met Walt Stack at that moment. So I think we started off with a tremendous burst of enthusiasm. Things were almost too easy, and perhaps at times we were forced to sort of take a break and go back a step. By the time I was 30, though, I did actually enter some marathons and finished 6 of them. And every time I tried to follow Walt's advice of sort of start slowly, but sort of accelerate and steadily keep moving faster throughout the event. In a lot of ways, our company is at that point. Having started maybe a little too fast a long time ago, we've sort of begun to hit a pace which I think is sustainable. I think we're introducing more products now than we've ever introduced in our history. That's perfectly clear. By more products, I mean more products that are special to us, whether they're private label products, like the personal care kit, whether they're exclusive products like the Steam Wizard, or whether they're products we make ourselves like the Ionic Breeze. We're introducing more products that are proprietary to us than ever before in our history. And we have a steady momentum going right now that shows no sign of changing. It seems to only show that more and more will be introduced because we've over 5 years built the infrastructure to support this. I happen to believe personally, as I said earlier, that we're continuing to evolve our team to get a better team. We've certainly acquired a tremendous wealth of experience in you because you've been here and now you know what we're doing. And the fact that we have your experience on our side is a tremendous asset. The fact that our brand name is better than it ever has been in the entire time we've been in business, that's terrific. The fact that we're making products that are more functional and more useful, it really is an important shift that is going to let us go through the next 5 years, whether there's a recession or not, continuing to win over converts to the sharper image. Because I want to get rid of that idea that, oh, well, you know, they're sort of a frivolous thing and you don't need the products they sell necessarily. I'd rather people instead think, wow, they have the greatest products. They have products that I really want to own. And some of them are expensive. I mean, by the time spring comes, we'll probably have a deluxe Ionic Breeze that's $340. And we'll still have some of those products that have that spice or that glamour, I hope. I believe we will. But I think that the trends that are in place say to me that our acceleration is going on at a pace that's better now than it was 5 years ago or 8 years ago. You know, the year is sort of like a microcosm of that. The year being like the 12 months that ends January 31st. And we have to start keeping in mind our year doesn't really end December 31st. It ends the end of January. It's hard to believe we do about 40% of our volume in December and November. Can you believe that? Almost half of our business is in those 2 months. So my sort of mission today is to try and encourage you to help me realize and help me accomplish the fact that if we're going to do 40% of our business in November and December, I really, really want to see us get our comp store increases not this month when they're useful and I'm proud of them, but in November and December. You know, our comps this month to date are running pretty well. Let's see, I don't think I have it right at my fingertips, but oh, here it is. You know, that we got the store manager meeting effect today, Ralph. It always surprises us and makes us wonder and scratch our heads that every time we get all the store managers out of their stores, the comps go up to 28% for the day. So yesterday we had a 28% comp increase. I know it's because your assistants want to show you what they can do. It's not the other reason that you're thinking of. And our month-to-date comp number today is 11% up through the 16th of September. It's pretty good. 11% comp increase for the month. I would be so happy and so thrilled if we could hit what Barry just said and get that 6% comp increase for November and December. When it's 40% of our business, that is just such a huge period that to get 6%, it would just make all the difference in our result for the year. And every year, you know, we want to do well, and I realize that. And every game you want to do well, and every day you want to do well. But you got to think of this, that this is like an event, and it started last February 1st, and it's going to end this January. And I want us to accelerate through the finish of the year because I'm so anxiously want to see that 6%. I tell you one simple, silly reason I want to see it. Because year to date, Brookstone's run about a 6% comp increase. We run about a 4% comp increase. I went into their store the other day. I got to tell you, I respect so many things about what they're doing, Brookstone. Financially, they're really well run. They got a good remodeling program going on. They have more stores than we do. There are more malls than we do. But I got to tell you, merchandising-wise and store personnel-wise, in the 2 visits I had the last 3 weeks, they have nothing going on in their stores. Do you know what was in the front of their store 2 weeks ago? The Tempur-Pedic pillow is back. And I'm looking at this in this 5-piece garden set, and I'm going, how is this company getting a 6% comp increase out of the Tempur-Pedic pillow in this 5-piece garden set and that stupid hammock that's still back there in the middle of the store? I mean, they did not have a single new product in that store that I haven't seen 6 months ago. Maybe there's one, but I didn't see it. And I just thought, how in the world are they doing this? Delivering that 6% comp increase. I don't think they can do it through Christmas, but it's just going to just drive me insane if we can't do better than they're doing on a comp store increase for the last 3 months of the year. That doesn't make any sense. We've got the Steam Wizard, we've got the Ionic Breeze, we've got the Fisher Stereo, we've got the new Motorola Slim Talkabouts coming, we've got all this neat stuff. They don't have anything. They're still selling a product that's 5 years old. It doesn't make any sense to me. I sort of broke it down, you know, into numbers just to put some spin on it. If you think about it, the average store probably would get about a 3% increase if they do about $3,000 more a month in a slow month like this. And this may not be right for every store, but it's sort of a rule of thumb. That $3,000 on 30 days is about $100 a day. So basically $100 a day more business is about a 3% comp increase. So $100 is what? It's like 2 personal cooling systems, or it's 1 Steam Wizard per day, or it's 1 Ionic Breeze every other day. I mean, I realize we got to supply this stuff. It's 1 Fisher Stereo every other day. I mean, it's not a huge thing. And it brings it down to, well, how do we get it? I mean, it's a very specific question. How do we get that? And the answer is, I encourage you by reminding you, you are the captain, you're the manager, you're the leader, you're the most important person in your store. And all those people are doing whatever you tell them to do. And some of you have already seen this, and some of you haven't seen it, and I want to encourage the ones that know how to do it better. I want to encourage the ones that haven't done it to do it better. And that is this simple observation on a couple specific points, like, you're busy, they're busy, there's customers in the store, and there's a lot of choices to make. You can bury your head in some paperwork at the register. You can make sure that the best customer that just walked in the store is being helped. You can get somebody that works for you to turn a refund into an exchange. You can make sure the staffing's correct. You can make sure that maybe somebody who doesn't know that we even have a new air filter product that's totally silent learns about it. You have all these specific opportunities every single day to affect that $100 extra. And I realize that when there's not many people in the store buying, it's harder to do that. And some of you are in quiet stores and some of you are in busy stores. But come about November 20th, we're all going to be in busy stores. And there's going to be a temptation at times to get caught up in the humdrum, to take care of a problem that maybe we could prioritize by asking somebody else to help take care of it for us, and let me instead go back and do what would make the most sales for the company that day. I mean, I'm just like you, I'm sure. I get caught up doing some minutia sometimes because I want to do it. It satisfies my need to be finished, to finish that detail, whether it's the best thing to be doing at the moment for the company or not. I want to finish it anyway. But let's think about this as an event that's going to be over January 30th, whatever. Let's accelerate through the end of the year. Let's make sure that Brookstone doesn't have a better comp store increase than we do. They don't have the products to do it. They don't. There is no reason they should get a better percentage increase than we do. Don't get stuck in those petty politics. You know, now and then we have a store where we could be working on maximizing sales, but instead people's egos get caught up in, you know, I don't want you to do that because I don't want you to do that, or I don't see it the way you see it, and the politics are going back and forth, and the salesperson's unhappy, or the assistant's fighting with the senior sales. Let's get over the petty politics. Let's work instead on the sales number. I need that sales number. How about this? Shannon, do we have a lot of inventory of the multivitamins or not? Are we running out of the multivitamins? Okay. I want Ralph to coordinate writing out of stock 1 box of vitamins for everybody at this meeting. And I want you to start taking those multivitamins. I just take 3 a day. I don't do the 6 a day stuff. Just 3 a day in the morning's enough. Start when you get back. You'll have enough to last through Christmas. Get some rest. come to work every day and go, I'm the captain of my ship. I'm in charge here. Make us get that 6% comp increase this November and December. Last observation. Richard doesn't visit the stores much anymore. Well, you know, there was a time in our company when the best thing I could possibly do was travel to stores a lot, say hello to all of you, encourage you to straighten this up and put this in the front, greet a salesperson, and I love doing that. For me, it's a very satisfying experience. I love this company. I love the products. I love our people. I love everything about our company. I am so proud of the fact that over 22 years, I've seen all these other things sort of come and go, and some have come and gone much further than us, and a lot have come and gone like this. I mean, I've listened to everybody tell me the different stories. Why can't you be like this, or why can't you be like that? Well, guess what? This and that aren't here anymore, and we're still here after 22 years. It's quite an accomplishment. I am so proud of what we do. And I think the best way that we can really succeed the next 5 and 10 years is to have unique products that people really want with excellent margins, pricing, and value. And the best way we can get that is for me to sort of do what I'm doing, which is sort of hang out in the skunk works, we call it, up in Marin County, where we develop this stuff and try and work with Shannon and Barry on the other products that we sell. But you got to appreciate, every time somebody comes in and buys an Ionic Breeze, and they walk out with that shopping bag and there's that Ionic Breeze in it, that's a little bit of Richard Thalheimer in that bag with that Ionic Breeze. So I am there. And I will be there all through Christmas with you, because you're going to see more products show up, and they're going to be some really great hits, which we don't know which ones they are yet. So it will be a continued presence of me in your store, and I will see some of you in person in your stores, and perhaps some of you this Christmas, but it was a little bit of a change from the past. It doesn't reflect any lack of love or attention or affection or pride. There's no lack of that in my part. It's just that I know how we can do best, and for me that right now is make sure we have a steady stream of really hot selling products. Okay, don't let me have to read in the paper that on January 31st, Brookstone had a higher comp store increase than us. Fair enough? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, I think this might be a good time for us to take a little bio break for about, it's 10 o'clock. If we can agree to be back in the room at, say, 10:15. And yes, we've changed the itinerary, but that's okay. So we'll be back in the room at 10:15. So get yourself some coffee, relax, stretch your legs, and we'll see you in 15. Do it in the arms.
Oh, is it really?
I mean, take the first one, or you want to take the first one? Right here.
All right. Is everyone watered and coffeeed? Okay. During the next hour or whatever it takes, because if we need more time, we're going to take more time, because we think it's that important that we cover the questions and concerns of you folks. We got in a lot of questions that you wrote in on cards, and we'll address those. But I also want to say that during this process, if other questions come up, if we touch on a subject and you say, yeah, that reminds me, we also have XYZ problem, write it down, and we're going to have an open session as well. So, because I don't think in this stack of cards that Ralph and I have that we've covered every question at all that's facing our operations. So Keep those questions, and we want to get to them. That's what we get those pads for. So I hope there's enough paper on the pads. Okay, Ralph, why don't you take the first question?
Sure. I've got a question here, and I'll quote as it was written. Markdowns were done on Thursdays in the past. This was much more effective than Fridays or Saturdays. Why did this change? Can we go back to Thursdays? Well, what do you guys think? Done. Shannon, can we agree? Thursdays. Sherry, no markdowns downloaded after Wednesday. Okay, done.
I think I'm blacking out. What happened?
What did you do?
I didn't do anything. You changed the markdowns and the lights go off.
See? Well,
oh,
there we go.
Okay. All right, I have a question here. Since implementing the current system of stores only communicating errors in their on-hands, we are experiencing higher stockouts than ever before. Is there a plan to change the communication between the stores and merchandising to remedy this situation? So let me just get the first statement here out. We are experiencing higher stockouts than ever before. Do all you agree with that? Let's say yes, raise your hand. Anyone in the no category? Okay. Go ahead.
In a follow-up thing, does that, because I know you do, in-stock reporting. Is in-stock means in transit? In-stock means in-stock?
You can sell an in-transit.
Right.
So.
But I'm saying the merchandise, again, is considered that you are not out of stock if you have limited stock.
No. To me, if it's not in the store available to sale, it's not in stock. So my question again is, do you guys feel you're experiencing more stockouts than ever before? Raise your hand again one more time. Okay. All right. Bob, Bill, you want to address that? What can we do? I mean, the question here is there a plan to change the communication between the stores and merchandising to remedy the situation?
Actually, we spent quite a bit of time before we made the decision to stop our books, which is really primarily what we're talking about. And we've been getting really positive feedback from the district managers. We query that at least once a month on our other conference call, that they find that the information that you're getting now, they're able to clean that up. They're able to get involved in some training with each of the store managers, and then they feed us a culmination of all your needs, and then we can react to that. So at this point, we have not decided to change back to the uploads. Relative to the in-stock, or actually statistically, we only measure in-store. We do not measure in transit. And we have actually statistically improved over the same period as last year, where we were more like 92, 93% in stock on the top 100 SKUs and those items in the catalog. We have been running 96 and 97. And we even went through June and July at 98% in stock. So I think what has happened, there are times when you do run out of something, but if we own it in the distribution center and it's available for replenishment, we have been pretty prompt with that. We have had some items that we've been chasing because frankly we sold more than we planned on selling. And I think if you really look at it, everybody has an example of, gee, I ran out of something. And I ran out and the truck came on Wednesday and I ran out on Monday or Tuesday. But generally speaking, it's items that we're reacting as quick as we can. So statistically, we are actually about 2 to 3% better in stock on the key items.
Alicia.
That's why I asked you the question, in transit means in stock.
No, it doesn't. If it's in stock is in stock. It's not in transit. Well, this is definitely more than 97%. or definitely worse than 90. And this is the same period, same time?
Just a different arbitrary date, I just highlighted to bring with to this meeting to show you things that I was out of that were going to be reallocated to me. These are all things that I was down to just as my
Yeah. Okay. But with this list, I'm sorry, let me hold up the list. Basically, Alicia brought a list of things that she was out of at that particular day, and the list has quite a few items on it. So I guess that's proof that we're not as in stock as we think that we are. Craig, Gary, you want to add anything to this?
Well, I think one of the situations, we've talked a lot about it yesterday, is the West Coast, is the transit time causes a lot of out of stocks. And sometimes it's some system I think we need to set up to keep the West Coast better in stock, so it's not a 10-day out. They're out on a Thursday, they don't get replenished until the next weekend. So they go through a whole weekend of business without that product, yet it is in transit. So I think that's a big factor on the West Coast stores.
East Coast.
North Coast.
Same thing on the East Coast?
Yeah.
Well, I guess if it's a problem on the East Coast and a problem on the West Coast, it must be perfect in the middle. In Little Rock, it's perfect. Berries in stock and everything. It's the rest of the stores that don't have the stock.
Do you want
in stock, you just have one unit on hand? Because if you look at my in transit, I might have 20 things marked that I write down for my people that says out of stock, wait for restock. But I might have one unit of every one of those, my floor model, but I really can't sell anything. So I'm really out of maybe 20 things on every given week. But if you looked at my report, every one of them might show one on hand, one on hand. So is that, I mean, that's out of stock to me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this sounds like a much bigger problem than I think we in the office ever thought it was. And we got to give you guys the ammo to make the sales. So I think what I'm going to suggest is that over the the next couple of days, we're going to sit with some of you and Bob and Bill and have a little task force that we, at the end of these couple of days, come up with some action points to correct this problem. This sounds like a much bigger problem than I think anyone in the corporate office thought about. Okay? So we'll do that. Okay?
I agree. If our company's average wage is between $7 and $8 for sales associates, how can we have such a restrictive dress code? Well, first of all, our average wage is not between $7 and $8. It's much, much higher than that. Probably one of the highest for a specialty store chain in the industry. Secondly, we feel, as many other companies do, that having a dress code is a matter of customer service. Our customers need to associate some sort of recognizability with our sales associates, and hopefully, whatever the dress code is something that will help our customers identify the people in the stores that can help them. And is there any other feedback? Pretty simple. I got the easy ones. Oops.
What was the decision with the black and the white? Just because it's in Aspen, we've got restaurants all the way around us, and we look like every other waiter. I was just curious, just because it seemed like with the the high tech stuff, that all black would be an excellent choice, other than for us.
Everyone's a designer.
Right.
So you'd rather be black with black top, black bottom?
Yeah. Well, it's just that we've got restaurants and resorts all the way around us, and every single one of the waiting staff is black pants and white shirts. So it's kind of an awkward situation for us.
How about would you like a beer with that sound soother or something? Ray?
In your 10 years, we've gone through several different dress codes. To answer your question, the reason why we don't do the black polos is because the black doesn't stand up to laundry as the white ones do. And we made that decision last year, year before.
Yeah.
Where the black wasn't holding up. You wash a black polo a couple of times, it just fades and it doesn't look as crisp as I want. That's the decision that was made a year ago.
Let me just take a poll, just a flash survey here. We have a dress code. We've changed it several times. We've changed it about 5 times since I've been here. And that's you guys have probably seen 58 dress codes. Your closets must be bursting from all the different uniforms. Today, are we okay? Is it, how many say, let's leave it like it is today? I'd say that's overwhelming. Widening the color section, another designer. Okay. Okay, next question, Ralph.
Is the policy going to change concerning cashing gift certificates? I believe there should be a certain amount spent before receiving cash back. Well, we don't really have a policy, first of all. So, I mean, there may be a verbal policy out there, but there's not technically a policy. So, you guys tell me, do we need a policy? Yes.
If someone came in and got someone a gift certificate, they want them to have something to charge rent.
Right.
So I think we should terminate just giving them cash for a gift certificate.
And let me ask you a question. If I give you something for Christmas and you don't like it, am I supposed to say you can't take it back? I'm just, whatever. I mean, I think we do need a policy. But I want to feel the grip, and I'm just playing devil's advocate with you. There's no perfect answer, but I think we need to do something that the knowledge in this group will. Yes, sir.
Well, maybe we could send a check back to the customer with that little 15% off.
I don't think they liked your idea.
Tracy?
I just wanted to clarify one point, that the 15% additional on the refund check had been stopped 6 months ago. Thank you. That is not.
Yes, sir.
Some department stores, if you get like a Bloomingdale's, get a gift certificate from Bloomingdale's, it's not redeemable for cash, and you can't use it towards paying off your credit card to get a credit card from Bloomingdale's. It's a store certificate. Honestly, maybe we should go to that. But that's how department stores stand on it. That's not huge.
Yes, ma'am.
Just to have consistency, obviously they don't have a receipt, it's a gift certificate.
Mm-hmm.
They have a product that they receive as a gift, we don't know how to catch that. Having a store credit or shit another.
But isn't a gift certificate franked on the back? Yeah. That's a receipt. Yes.
Establishing some other kind of policy, whether it's partial or full, or regarding gift certificates, to me is just another way of pissing people off.
Okay. But I mean, I'm not really, I agree with what you just said. He basically said establishing a policy for telling people what they can or can't do is just one more way of us pissing them off. And, well, that's what he said. And so he doesn't really think that we should. But what I'm driving at, and I totally agree with, we don't need to make a lot of rules. I don't think it's good to have too many rules to shop by, because then you feel like you're in prison when you come in. It's sort of like you walk into a store and it says no food or drinking, no this, don't do that, cash register closed, no more than 3 items behind the counter. If you want, you start giving people too many rules and they get scared, because they get scared they're going to break a rule. But what I think we're driving at is we need a policy to help you run your stores. That not really regarding the customer, but as much as to give you and your management staff a guideline so that we have some consistency in our 83, soon to be 89 stores, that we're consistent from store to store. So that if I walk in to Ken's store and I got a gift certificate and he says, hey, listen, either merchandise or get out of my face, and then I walk over here to your store and you go, sure, I'll be glad to give you cash. We're sending mixed messages. So I think we as a group just need to develop a consistency so that we're screaming the same message, and basically, to my Southern heritage, that we're singing from the same songbook.
Why shouldn't it be just like purchasing merchandise? It's 60 days. 60 days you can get cash back or credit it back as you paid for it. Do that.
Well, let me ask the advice of Ms. Tracy Wong.
I'm not so this is not advice, this is observation also. We actually did some research a while back. This was about 3 months back. We looked across some of the premier retailers, such as we looked at Nordstrom, we even might have looked at Tiffany's, to see what their policy was relating to cash back on merchandise certificate. And you know what we found? Everybody was doing something different. We ranged from absolutely no cash back to half cash back to all cash back available. And these are premier retailers within the United States. So I think there was, we were considering a proposal at the time, because now having seen what other people were doing, we were proposing that we would adopt a standard within our set of stores also to go half and half. That only up to half of the gift certificate, this is only gift certificates, would be eligible for cash in on refund.
Now, is that something that all of you would agree to?
Yeah.
Okay.
It just makes it too confusing, I think, if you're going to get half back of merchandise certificate, you should just do it all.
No, it's just saying you have to spend half of the gift certificate, and we'll give you the remainder back. I think it's fair and reasonable.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you a question, and because I don't want to spend too much time on this, though the feedback is great. So if we come up with the half and half, I come in on the 26th of December, I got a $100 gift certificate, I walk around your store and I go, you know, I don't see anything I want, I've never shopped with SHRP Image, it's really not my bag, I'd like a refund. Are you just gonna give me $50 back and send me on my way?
Sure. No, I mean,
I'm just asking, this stuff happens.
Obviously, there's always going to be an exception to whatever policy you set up, and maybe you determine that there's an exception to be made there, or maybe you just tell a person, I'm sorry, but we can't give you full cash back. Maybe you can pick something up as a gift. There's got to be something in our store there.
I'll leave you with a bright idea. What if we create a world together where there's less exceptions and we have more clear standards? And you know who will do it? It will be us, because I'm a real believer in task forces. And if we decide to make a major policy change, and while this is a minor issue, it's a policy. You guys, with Sherry and myself, will make the decision, okay? So why don't I put it on, yes sir, I don't want anyone to go unhurt.
No, in my store, I mean, I don't know, I guess we should get a feeling from everybody here. I only have maybe 4 or 5 back here that I refund. And that's like such a small amount to me.
You make a wise point. Yes, ma'am.
I agree with him.
What he said, right? What she said. Yes, sir.
The ones that I've had that come back to are usually given by the wife or the husband. You're telling a husband that he can't get full return back on his wife's debt, and you've got a major argument.
Household money.
Yeah.
Okay, can I leave it at this and will everyone be comfortable? We will come up with a policy and we'll take a sampling of about 8 to 10 store managers, and we'll make sure those 8 to 10, along with Sherry and myself, and of course Barry, and we'll always pass it by Tracy, agree that that's the right position that we take, and we commit to you that we'll do that, because I do think we need to be a little more clear. Is that satisfactory? Okay. Sherry, you want to help me with a realistic time frame? Today is September 17th, is that correct? Can we say that we will have a policy in our stores by October 31st?
Yes.
Is that real? Is that good enough?
Barry, it is. We've been talking about this for 12, 13 years. And we
What's
still
6
don't have a
weeks?
policy. I mean, it's really. It seems like it should be a real easy decision to make.
I was gonna say a week from Friday.
Yeah.
How about a week from Friday? Okay? We'll come back with a policy. Let's just get it done.
All right.
Okay? Here's a question, short. Gentleman in the back? Yeah.
My only comment is, I think the emphasis is really the best for a retailer. And I was really surprised the other day. I asked them what their price match policy is. They said 14 days on price matches. So what about the 15th day? They said forget it. No price matches after 14 days. I'm curious what their policy is on this.
They get cash back.
No, not anymore.
decision.
When did they switch that? Because just last Christmas I got.
Within like the last 2 or 3 months.
What?
The last 2 or 3 months.
My wife works for him.
Steve, after you returned that stuff, they changed it.
If the gap doesn't give the money back, I feel comfortable, and we could adhere to the same standard personally.
Sherry, would you call Ray and tell him to go to the Gap or call the Gap and find out what the policy is? And we'll have a policy for you before the end of the day.
I like that. I like that. Question, is merchandising interested in getting ideas for new products from store employees? Good question. You think, Mary? Good question? Okay. Ideas. Well, Shannon, what, you guys interested in ideas for new products?
Absolutely. I think that one of the things that we probably need to do, though, is get some consensus as to how high is high in terms of enthusiasm about a given concept. So maybe you guys can help me figure out what's the best way to communicate that. Maybe do the district managers, and then they can tell us on the calls. You know, if we got 10 people saying we've got to have X, Y, Z, that would be a good indication that it's something that we can carry.
Yeah, I got to tell you, we would love to get more new ideas for products. And if you guys think that we don't want ideas, you're mistaken. The question is, how do we do it efficiently? Because every week, talk about new ideas, we get box loads of ideas from vendors, from inventors, from people who have been in our stores. They say, we have the perfect item for the Sharper Image. This is a Sharper Image item. And every day we have all our merchants, and Richard and myself, I'm trudging through all these things. So, but we really think that your ideas, because you're on the firing line, you've been in the stores for years and years, you probably get a lot of good ideas and recognize a lot of good ideas. But if we get 89 ideas every week, in addition from you folks, we may not be able to get the gift certificate policies done. So I guess the question is, how do we get a good consensus? Is it through maybe going through the DMs and them being the first filter, or Ed?
Why don't you, like, if you have a couple select parties that you might want our opinion on, give us a download, and we could vote on those. Maybe fax them back to you, say, yes, that's a great idea, or no, that's not.
Well, we're talking about something different here. We're talking about new ideas that you guys have.
But, like, for instance, if Mary has a customer, there's only one idea out there, and there's, you know, no one else has submitted an idea. You get this one idea, and you go, well, it sounds pretty good, but we're not sure about it. You know, that way, you could give us a download, we can all say, I think that'll work, or no,
Richard?
that won't work.
I'm sorry.
One of the things we can do that really be easy is we can just ask people if they want to send an idea above the year. We should spend a lot of time encouraging people to stay up all night, because realistically, it's a hard way to get ideas that in the end end up being usable for different reasons. But if they want to send ideas above the year, the best way is just to email Shannon and me the idea, or copy you, me, and Shannon, and email it. If you don't have an email, we've got these forms, these products with papers forms, or any other way you want to send it. But the email's really efficient.
Okay. Do you guys like that, or does everyone have access? Is that a good solution?
Well, all the district managers certainly have access to emails.
Okay.
So store managers communicate to district managers and send it out. Yes, sir.
Perhaps we include it on a Monday fax.
I'm sorry, can you say that louder?
Include it on the Monday fax, we all do,
To the,
to the district.
To the DM? There's a Monday fax to the DMs. That would be good.
Your TN conference calls are going to wind up being 3 hours long with 89 ideas every week. I think you should just put it on paper, email it, send it in interoffice mail, send it to Shan or wherever it ends up doing it, go through it.
Okay.
I think if you guys talk about it on these conference calls, we'll be there for hours and hours.
Okay. Robert, that's a good idea. How do you guys feel about that? Just send them in, email them, write them, cards and letters are welcome. Money wouldn't be bad. Okay? Sold. Ralph?
I know some stores and associates that think that wearing a suit will increase their sales. How about sales training for associates? poor sales professionals in polo shirts will be poor sales professionals in suits. I couldn't agree with that last part more. This is really about training and improving our training. At least that's my take. Would anyone disagree with that? I would like to tell you, and only being pretty new to the group, what I have seen or what I've observed. A few months ago, we promoted 2 district managers to regional managers. Hence, a couple more people got promoted to district manager, and then we added 2 districts. So what we did was we made the pool that this supervisor had to swim across a little smaller, which part of the goal there was to have more people in stores more often, which hopefully will transfer into more training and more professionalism. And then you have a regional manager who is also involved in that, spending more time with district managers than anyone from the corporate office ever had. So the district managers are in turn getting more training, and the whole thing should filter down. Now that's what we've done in my observation, but I'd love to hear your comments. Yes, sir.
A district manager probably run into a situation where you've got 2 stores that are failing and whatever, maybe for issues, and they got a new store manager in another store. Sometimes that team doesn't have the time to devote to train that new person. Maybe we should have kind of roving training, like 2 or 4, spread them across the United States and have go train or send that person to that person's store and have them train.
Did you hear that, Mary? What do you think?
How possible it would be, but
It's certainly something it's something we should look at, because you're right. Unfortunately, and maybe we'll improve this, we will improve this, district managers are very often spending their time putting out fires. And what happens when you get in a situation like that, once you get a fire put out, all of a sudden another one's stoking. So then you're just running from fire to fire. So I think you make a good point, and Mary, we'll just put that on our agenda to talk about having training managers. I mean, that's what you're talking about, right?
But one in each, northwest, northeast, southeast, southwest.
I think it's something we should really look into. My friend from Tampa.
I think district managers are very important in ongoing training.
Yes.
More specifically, the way I interpret that question is when we have a new associate who comes into the company, and the materials that we have to train them in currently are very out of date.
Okay, so what's the solution?
Store manager to train that person, and with materials we have saying, well, don't read this section, this part of the sentence is no longer accurate, and this take is out of date, but if you should overview of our company, it's very difficult.
So what's your suggestion?
That we need to have updated training.
We need to update the training
Yes,
materials.
consistent, because they will have the same training materials, so they need to be updated.
Okay, so, okay, Mary, sounds like we need to update the training materials. Yeah, is there any other?
I think there should be, currently we have several tapes. Like Ann was saying, I think they should just have one tape, put it in, covers everything with loss prevention. So right now there's 4 or 5 tapes, and then they'll send a new one, or like they say, just a new section, they'll send us one new tape.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Okay. Mary and I have training as a subject that's on our agenda, and I can see that she's made a couple of notes. We will add all this to it because there's been some good ideas here, and you should have updated, consistent information from store to store. Yes, sir. I didn't mean to overlook you, Dan.
I have a follow-up thought to the comment that having individuals travel around the country.
Yes.
I know in years past we've had certain store managers and districts that acted as training store managers, so maybe we have to do the store work for a couple of weeks.
That's a great idea too. And for those of you that didn't hear it, he suggested that we have a training store manager in every district, and that person would be responsible for training new hires and so forth and so on. I saw a hand. Yes.
So, I'm trying to suck up or anything, but I'm not.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
I think a lot of us tend to forget that training isn't only the first couple of days, it's an ongoing process. Managers need to be on the floor watching the sales associates make a sale, got their sales done, get involved, say, you know, you could have worked better. If you were said this, get you this. You know, you could have saved yourself 10 minutes by closing the sale much earlier. I think training materials are out there. We need to get that, but it doesn't stop the first week.
I agree.
It needs to be developed. It's an ongoing process.
I agree. And it is the store manager's responsibility to train every day.
I think we need to look at that more. We managers need to
You're the best. As Richard says, you're the captain. The manager is the captain. And the captain needs to be on the field, not in the locker room. So, good point.
Okay.
Mr. Gilbert?
Next question is, how is our model stock determined and how often is it reviewed? Question I was dreaming about last night. Bob, you want to take, how is our model stock determined and how often is it reviewed?
I don't want to get into real technical, because it's pretty lengthy, but there's a couple of things. One, you take a certain period of time. Today's environment, we'll take last week's sale, we'll take fixture fill, we'll take the in-transit time for each store, and there's a calculation if you happen to have been out of stock any given day in that week, there's some additional calculation put into that. Then that'll give us a number. Okay, and then the distributor will take a look at the item going to be in the catalog in the future so they can raise or lower that particular model. And then it is reviewed literally every day. If you have a sale, you are reevaluating that very next night. So the models can change, let's say once a week is probably what actually occurs there. But what's exciting is we do have some new enhancements that are going into the system. We started with one situation on September 1st, and other additions on October. So they're going to allow us a lot more flexibility to look forward. The current model stock goes backwards. And as we're going into peak periods, what you did last week or 2 weeks ago is really not a big deal of what you're going to do. So what we are moving to is to develop your model on future sales. So that will give you a lot better program going into the fourth quarter this year. That's committed to that. So again, I don't want to, it's pretty hard to get exactly the math, but we can talk a little bit more on this on Saturday too, because I'll try to explain the system for you.
Okay, thanks, Bob. I get the sense that this is a leading question, that how is our model stock determined is not as much interested in the technical aspect of it. I sense there's a bigger issue here. Does anyone want to talk about model stocks? Was the question, I just want to know how it was determined, or is it really something more in your mind? Leonard?
I was told that if your model stock is manually changed, that it doesn't go through that system-generated function any longer. And in my particular situation, when I took over this store last year, we changed a lot of model stocks. And a lot of my allocation now is like weird. And it's, you know, and I don't, because some things happen with my inventory and I'm getting some things back, I have no clue as to what's real and what isn't. Is there a way to find out? Model stock.
What do you mean weird, Leonard?
Well, like, I get too much too little, and my main problem is bulk, because my stock is so small. And there's times when I had at one time 9 kitty litters that took up like 2 shelves, which I really don't want to give up. And at that time, my DM called, and we had my model stock changed to 3. I now have 6. At one time I had 6. So it came back again, and I was told that, you know, well, if you change it manually, then that stays that way. But I'm not clear now how I went from 8 to 3, and now I'm back up to 5 or 6 again. So, you know, I'm just kind of not clear on how that works and what I need to do to rectify it, because if we change it manually again, I'm back to the same loop. I just had to get back in the sync. So I'd like to figure out, not just that part, but a lot of parts.
Barry, I was just going to...
Go ahead, Steve.
The question as it reads, one of the things that may involve the in-transit time that we were talking about a little while ago, if our model stocks were higher, maybe we wouldn't be out of stock while we're waiting for merchandise to come in transit. I know that's a question that I deal with pretty regularly, is that if my model stock were higher, it seems like the merchandise we're waiting for when the customers, we were talking about being out on Thursday, but it's on its way. But if my model stock was higher, well, maybe I would have gotten those 12 units instead of 8. And I would have had them to at least last through the weekend.
Right.
So that if I run out on Monday, it's actually going to be coming out on Tuesday. So maybe that's what it was.
Bob?
Yeah, let me answer the first question, because you're absolutely correct. When your model is manually overridden, which was what was being done, and those uploads would come every week, the distributor would go in and they would manually raise your model, and it wasn't apparent that that model would never change. If your sales continued to accelerate because you were getting more units, you were stuck there. Conversely, if the store started to decrease in sales, which might have happened in the later days, you might have had a great week one week, and your model reacted to that 1 week's worth of sales, your model went up, and it stayed there because it was programmed. Now, we have taken out, I want to say all of them, but there's probably a couple for people with the small back rooms or something where we've done that, but we have taken out all those manual adjustments to let the system function the way it's supposed to. So we have addressed that, but if you have some specific things, we do need to want to talk to. The other thing that I'm hearing is, and I'm not overly comfortable with, is I would love to raise a lot of models in a lot of stores, but what comes right back to me is I've got a small back room, I've got a small back room, I can't take that inventory. And that's somewhat frustrating, because the only way to do this for 90 stores, a distributor can't look at every store, every SKU and say, well, gee, they really need 6, but they have a small back room, so I'm only going to give them 3. I want to give you the inventory you need for what your sales are telling you you have the opportunity for. But when it comes back, you can't give it to them. And I've had some conversations with Barry, well, gee, Barry, we need to ship more. Maybe we need to ship 3 times a week, 4 times a week. That's where we have to go with this. And it's just a matter of getting our arms around it so that a distributor doesn't look at every store, at every SKU, every week. We've got to get a system that will dynamic, move forward, and really take care of